Oh, Wilfred, told you I'd make you a video to help you out with your no start on your 190 SL with the Downdraft carburetor. This is not the same carburetors on your car, but it has the same elements and they're all basically the same. So the first thing you're going to do is make sure you're getting fuel to your carburetor. So you're going to use one wrench here to stabilize the fitting going into the float bolt cover. You can use the other wrench to unscrew the fitting and then activate your fuel pump or crank the engine and make sure you're getting fuel actually getting into the carburetor. Let's assume you're getting fuel into the carburetor, or at least to this point here. You won't know if you're getting fuel completely into the carburetor. The easiest way to check for fuel that's in the carburetor float bowl and getting all in functioning would be to activate the throttle. And when you activate the throttle, your accelerator pump discharge nozzle should shoot a stream of fuel into the carburetor. And most likely that's not happening. So we're going to start from the fuel getting into the carburetor float bowl. And first, it has to go through the needle and seat, which is right here. And this needle and seat, this is the needle, and here's the seat, and this has got to open and close and allow fuel to come in. So it opens like this, fuel comes in, and it shuts off. And that's located up in this part of the float bowl. And you're going to use your favorite carburetor chemical cleaner, which is this B12, and you're going to be spraying. Let's see if I can get this here on camera without ruining my camera. And you're going to okay, you can see fuel spray coming out of these holes right here. The way to get to that is going to be to remove your float bolt cover with all these bolts to remove the float bolt cover. So once you do that, you unscrew your float bolt cover. Your float and needle and seat will be exposed, and you can take this out and blow through it and blow chemicals through it and see if this was the problem. If you remove the float bowl cover and you have fuel inside the float bowl, but it's not getting any further, now we're going to start digging in, going in deeper. From the float bowl, the fuel goes through a check valve right here, and this is what this check valve looks like, accessible from the outside. And so you can certainly remove this check valve, and if you have fuel in the float bowl, all that fuel is going to come pouring out. So you can check if you have fuel in the float bowl simply by removing this check valve and doing two things: making sure the check valve works. All it is just a ball, just a little ball, and you should be able to shake it, or else just blow cleaner through it. And that'll tell you if you can do that test anytime you want to check to see if you've got fuel inside the float bowl. In fact, you might want to do that test first. It just depends on, I mean, really, we're guessing as to where the problem is. And so I would say remove the check valve and see if you've got fuel coming out. And that will indicate if you've got fuel in the float bowl. But if you've got fuel in the float bowl, and then what you'll do is you'll replace the check valve and refill the float bowl, and you can just do this with a cup of a measuring cup or something. Pour some fuel in there, and what you're now going to do is you're going to start looking to see if your accelerator pump circuit is functioning. You know what? I may have misled you. I think the check valve, it's been a while since I worked on these downdrafts, but I think the check valve we're talking about is right here underneath. Yeah, that's where it is, because that's part of the accelerator pump circuit. So the fuel gets in the bowl, it goes into this check valve, and the check valve is designed so the fuel goes this way, and then when your pump activates, when this thing is pumping, the check valve is blown the other way, so it stops the fuel from bypassing, going back flowing, and then it's going to go through your accelerator pump circuit. And that is made up of, this is what the accelerator pump looks like. So this part here is bolted on here like this. You got your diaphragm in here, and then you got this lever here. And so this is what pumps fuel from the float bowl through the body and into passageway inside. It's going to be this passageway right here, and you can see it, and it goes this way, and then it goes back. Fuel goes up this way, and it comes out this nozzle right here. So any of these jets that you want to remove, go ahead and remove them and blow fluid through here. Blow the carburetor cleaner through there and see if you have anything that you need to discharge in terms of, or rather, you have to clean out anything that's inside these jets in this passageway. Now, what controls the idle and is could be part of, well, right now I think you have a complete lack of fuel getting into the carburetor, but if you do get the engine to run and it won't idle, that's this guy right here. And this is the only jet like it, which has a hex on it and a slot for a screwdriver, and that's your idle jet. And that's what this looks like when it's out of the car, out of the engine. And it's got a little teeny hole in the end of it. And that little teeny hole is real easy to get stopped up either with a dried fuel or a piece of debris, and that will not allow the engine to idle. That's all this thing does. This just handles the idle. And if your engine's not idling, and you can rev up, you can start the car and rev up the engine, then you try to get back to idle, and it won't idle. That's the problem. That's the fault of this little guy right there. So if you've removed all these and squirted fuel B12 through there, and you put everything back together, and you know you've got fuel in the float bowl, the problem could be inside here, although it's probably not. I would not worry about that one right now, removing the diaphragm. I would remove this jet here, this check valve, and blow B12 up and through there. And then the other possibility is when you have your float bowl cover off, you will be exposing this discharge needle right here. And this thing has a very, very tiny hole on the end of it, so that if it gets clogged up, you will not have any fuel shooting out there. And when you have this thing working properly, you should have a needle jet of fuel spraying down the throat of the carburetor when you accelerate the linkage here. When you work the linkage and this thing's pumping, you should have fuel shooting right down through there. And if you don't, then we're back to this circuit here. This passageway here is clogged or has dried fuel in it, or the little discharge nozzle has dried fuel in it. So, and it's held in place with a set screw, and it's very sometimes it's hard for this unit to come out of the to wiggle it out of the body of the carburetor. It gets stuck. But so you have to be real careful doing that, and you'd have to, if you can't get any fuel, if everything else is working and no fuel is coming out of here, then this thing has got a blockage in it, and you have to remove it. Remove the unit from the body of the carburetor and clean it out. It has a check valve in it as well, built into it. So I'm trying to think if I get the right sequence here for you. Check the fuel. Make sure you got fuel coming into the carburetor. You can do that by obviously disconnecting your hose going in. Then you can remove this fitting here, this jet, and it'll empty the float bowl if there's fuel in there. If you don't have any fuel in here, then we're going to go back up here and remove the float bowl cover and check your needle and seat. And once you have once you can get, before you put the cover back on, you're going to fill up the float bowl and start checking to make sure the accelerator pump circuit is working and all these other circuits are not clogged up, and that you ultimately will get fuel squirting out of here. And you can do all that without the float bowl cover in place. So I hope that gives you enough information to get you started. Good luck, and let me know what happens.